All right, guys, welcome back. This is the Start Guys with Brandon Janis. Super stoked for today's Start story. Good friend of mine who we met in another business that we were together in, and didn't know all of his story, and still don't know all of his story, and that's why I really wanted to shoot this. I was thinking about people that would be great to share their bigs and their start moments and inspire the masses. And so I hooked up with this gentleman and said, "Hey, man, I want you to come on and share your story." So Matt Plumer is from Reston, Virginia, which is near D.C., I believe, and is in the real estate world, doing some big things there. Has a wife who's a supermodel, as far as I'm concerned, and they're just moving and grooving. But Matt, what I want to do is not talk about where you are this second. I want to talk about where you were about 5 years ago, when your big thing happened, when your big found you or you found it. I don't even know how to put it for the what you've gone through the last 5 years. But explain to us what your big was, and on top of that question, why was that so important to you? Why was this your big at that moment in your life?
So, going back the, 5.5 years, but it's really important to kind of figure out how you got there. And so I got to that, the point that we'll be talking about because of, the proverbial, addictive personality. I was addicted to lifestyle, all the way through my college days, in my 20s, I was addicted to lifestyle, and that addiction led on to addictions to drinking, addictions to making money, addiction to gambling, smoking cigarettes, et cetera, et cetera. So where that ended me, where that all put me 5.5 years ago was, almost 300 pounds, working 70 hours a week, driving around the Washington, D.C. Beltway, doing 1,000 appointments a year, 40,000 miles. And it landed me in marriage counseling. Melinda and I have had a massive relationship for the last almost 20 years. We've been together since college. And so we were at the wit's end. Everything was her fault. Everything was my fault, just depending on who you asked. And so, when it was very clear that I had some things that I needed to address, I started with weight. I was, like I said, I was nearly 300 pounds. I was an alcoholic. I was an addictive sports gambler. I didn't meet a bet I didn't like. I still haven't seen a cheeseburger I didn't like. So I just do it in a little bit of moderation with the food now. But it actually all started with a decision to affect my weight loss, because that was the one thing that wasn't necessarily in my brain. It wasn't affected by a quote-unquote a drug like alcohol, nicotine, or a significant addiction like gambling. So, and I'd lost weight before. I've lost 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds before. I just was really good at gaining it back. So I started with weight loss, and, it kind of snowballed from there. Lost about 15, 20 pounds, was able to stop drinking as much, stop gambling as much. Started kind of loving my wife a little bit more. She started liking me a little bit more. And, one thing led to another. And 5 years later, I'm lost over 100 pounds and, haven't drank in 5 years. So it's been quite a journey.
Amazing, man. So let me ask you, and it should be an obvious thing, but why was it so important to you right then? Was it your marriage was falling apart? What was it that then, because this wasn't something that happened overnight, Matt. This was something that had built up. You don't gain 100 pounds overnight. You don't get a gambling, an addictive gambling personality overnight. You don't, all these things, right? What was it right then that made you think, okay, I have got to go do something?
So my rock bottom moment was, simply put, it was actually right after St. It was actually St. Patrick's Day in the morning. I didn't even get to enjoy St. Patrick's Day. It was the 2 days before, and so my rock bottom moment was I went on a 2-day bender with golf. It was the NCAA tournament, which are the 2 days that most people check out from life and they watch basketball. They watch 20-year-old kids play basketball for 24 straight hours. And it almost cost me my marriage. That's how dangerous it is. And so I completely checked out from society for 2 consecutive days on the Thursday and Friday, and woke up that Saturday morning and just looked at my wife, and I saw the love, and I saw life out of her. And it was completely, there was nothing there. And I simply just said, you know what? I have to make a change. And that was the 17th. That was March 17th. And I think if I really look back at the numbers, March 25th, 26th, 27th. So a week and a half later was the day that I stepped on a scale, and I was 293 pounds.
And so it started with the weight loss. And then I think you had said by doing these right things, these good things, other things started, the ripple effect, if you will, whether it was the cigarettes or the gambling or whatever it was, the betting. What was it for you, or how do you explain how the ripple effect happened?
So, I got, as I mentioned, I was addicted to lifestyle, and I'm addicted to success. And so when I started seeing success, and I didn't have a platform at the time, I did have a buddy, and I had some other friends. We were in a bet. We were in a weight loss bet that year. And so I had some support from guys that were doing it. And so we just kind of kept each other motivated. And I really enjoyed a couple things. One, I saw the scale go down in weight. So, 293, 291, 289, so on and so forth. And I got really excited about texting my buddies and said 286. And they didn't need to know anything other than that number. And they just scrolled up in their text message and saw that I was going down. And so I built up that momentum, and the ripple effect, or the compound effect, the snowball, whatever you want to call it. And got to a point where I had enough victories compounded over time that it was easy to say, hey, I want to stop drinking as much.
Interesting. So let me ask you this, because there's probably, thousands and hopefully hundreds of thousands of people that will watch this that are, may not be addicted to everything, but are addicted to something, right? I think we all are in our own little way, right? Whether it is success or alcohol or drugs or whatever it may be. What were the biggest fears that you had, or the biggest obstacles you had to overcome, or things that as far as advice you could give people, because you saw a lot of things come your way that could have derailed you? What were those fears and obstacles that almost made this not happen?
So that's so good. You get real with yourself and with people. And unfortunately, your friends are your biggest distractions. Your friends that were around the whole time, that had the biggest influence on you, can be the ones that keep you from going to where you want to go. And so as I went over this, 90-day to 120-day kind of initial run of change, I had some friends that said goodbye. I had some friends both, by choice and by design and by default. One of the things that we've learned in Keller Williams is you have life by default, or you have life by design. And friends are this exact same way. So, that was a big hurdle. A lot of people don't want to lose their friends. And I still text with them every now and then, but I don't talk that often. So that was kind of the one that was more in person. The more psychological thing of fear was that I had done this before, and I'd lost weight before. I had stopped, not drank for 30, 60, 90 days before. I had not placed a bet before. And so after about 120 days of this, I had some nice wins piled up. And I looked back and I said, I looked forward, first of all, and I've got football season, I have beer and chicken wings, and I've got the fall. I got college football staring at me in the face in 60 days. So how was I going to navigate that, number one? And number two is, I looked back and saw, why did I drink those last drinks? And why did I, kind of waste the day, 6 days of sobriety for a handful of drinks? Why did I place those last bets? And why did I eat those meals that I knew that were going to derail me? And it was really all boredom. So if you look at it, your associations, what are the things psychologically that are stopping you? And then also, what are those things that are, when you're just doing nothing, you're going to default back into your old habits.
Wow, that's so good, man. That is so good. And so one thing we didn't hit on, and I want a quick, because this could be a completely different story, but I didn't know this till I saw you on the Dave Ramsey show, but $550,000 in debt, because of years of bad habits. So there's a lot of people on the line that are maybe not in that much debt, but are in debt, right? So give us a little bit of advice on that end as far as, where to start, changing that, if that's somebody's big.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, Brandon, is, we are weighed down by so much things that are just society has just accepted, whether it's being 25 pounds overweight or not being loyal in your relationships, or, borrowing and spending money that you don't have to, buy things you don't need to impress people you don't want or that you don't like. It's just society. You have to go through life with all of this stuff wrapped around you. And that's simply not true. It is the biggest lie out there, that you don't have to be 20 pounds overweight and you don't have to have a credit card to survive in America. You don't. But I got there. Again, more importantly, how I got there was just, if I could afford the payment, I bought it. If I could afford the payment, I bought it. And I break it down very simply. I $29,000 us to death, and my wife $29 us to death. She loved Groupon and Zappos and Amazon and Living Social and Fit whatever. And I loved bright, shiny cars and timeshares. And so, when you just do enough of that, and it just sits there and adds up and adds up and adds up. And, we were introduced to Dave Ramsey. And of course, just like everything else that everyone else does, when you get positioned something that's going to change your life and you put it on the shelf and it's a really big coaster, or it collects dust on the bookshelf. It took me about 90 to 180 days to open the book and read the book. And then we had a couple rock bottom moments there too, where enough's enough. And we had taken out our last loan that we could take to really kind of get through the next winter. And that was the moment where we said, you know what, we have to make a change. And we enrolled in Financial Peace University. And I looked at it and I went to the first class, and it was probably the best 90 minutes of my life, because I realized that we were going to get out of debt the exact same way I lost weight. And that was just, one step after another, one step after another, one step after another.
Absolutely amazing, man. Again, that could be another entire episode, because I know y'all's story is amazing with that. So I got to end with one bonus question, man. You've conquered a lot over the last 5 years. And I don't know if you ever beat it, or if you say you beat it, or I'm not sure how you feel about that. But my question to you is, first of all, thank you so much for spending time with us. I think it's going to inspire many, 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 many people. Two quick questions. One, where can people find you and follow you? How do they find you on social or whatever it may be, as far as that goes?
So Instagram is _fit realtor, _fit realtor on Instagram. And on Facebook, it's simply Matt Plumer, Plumer. You can see the spelling here. Very easy to find on all social media platforms, LinkedIn, Google+, the whole 9 yards. I might be the easiest person to find on social media other than Brandon.
I was going to say Brandon Janus.
Brandon Janus is driving around on a freaking bus with a picture of his face on it. So he's easy to find in the real world. I might be a little easier to find on social media. Fit realtor, _fit realtor, and then Matt Plumer, or Matt Plumer, Plumer Matt on Facebook. You can find me.
Awesome, bro. Okay, final question. What is your big today? What is your big now?
Yeah, this is a big one. I'm a brand new real estate agent with Keller Williams. I mean, 5 or 6 months. I've been telling the story for about 6-7 months now. And so it would be really easy to say, I want to go conquer the real estate world here in Fairfax County. I have an awesome team. I have awesome mentors. I'm with the largest company in the world with Keller Williams. But over this last 5 years journey, I did find and accept Christ as my Savior, and was baptized last year around Easter-ish, March sometime. And so I really, my thing now that keeps me up at night, but wakes me up in the morning, the first thing is just learning more and following God. You know, being a man of God. I'm reading this book now by Mark Batterson, Play the Man. This thing is legit. It's going to wake you up every single day if you read it. So, you know, if you want to find out what the man that God wants you to be, read that book. But yeah, it's, you know, I can pick up any book on the world. I mean, you can see I got a lot of books back there, and I've read them all. And it's easy to read those books, but it is hard to read that Bible, man. And so that is my big is just getting up and working with him in the morning and seeing where he takes me.
Amazing, man. Amazing story, Plumer. I can't thank you enough. Guys, follow him. He's a great follow, and he's got big things going on. And if you need a real estate agent, here's your guy, right? A little shameless plug there for Matt Plumer. So, Matt, thank you so much, man. Love you, brother. Can't wait to share this with the world. Thanks a lot, man. Guys, talk to you soon. Have a blessed one, guys.
Right. See you guys.